What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you're hearing this episode, then you are meant to be here, so keep listening. On that Bitches Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh. Other times, baby girl, we're going to cry, but we will always walk away feeling our most empowered, positive bitch self. That is Babe in true connection with herself. On this podcast, we unbecome who we are not so we can fully step into exactly who we came here to be. Today, we're going to talk about how to hold ourselves in a high vibration regardless of what may be falling down around us. Energy's natural state is movement. Your life is going to keep moving and grooving regardless of the cadence you wish to go at. Life is always evolving. You are always evolving. We're always in a constant state of transition, whether it's at work, career, friends, relationships, dating, figuring out what we want to do next with our life. We are always moving towards something. I want us to really dig deep in ourselves so that we can be our own master and we don't have to become the slave to the things that are going on around us. Because there's going to be moments in time, there's going to be moments in life where things are not going according to the plan we had originally. Things are going to look in our current perception as not going well. We don't know that's true, but it might look like that. And we have to learn, well, even if I think things are falling apart, even if I think things are not going according to my plan, how can I hold myself in a higher vibration so I don't have to get sucked into the external experience? Because that external circumstance is not final. Your feelings are not final. What can be final for us is trusting God and putting faith that we are at the right place at the right time so we can hold on to a good vibration, ultimately choosing happiness instead of choosing to get sucked into the vacuum of whatever may be going on around us. Before we get into it today, a couple of announcements. If you're not yet following me on Instagram at Vibin with Cece, be sure to follow me there for daily tips and tricks on how to activate your most magnetic self. If you've not yet gotten your copy of Show Up As Her, this book, it's my book, it's also your book. It's 10 laws on how to reclaim your reality, step onto your most magnetic timeline, and positively manifest. And if you've not yet listened to my new single, Pudding, be sure to do that. It is a vortex to putting yourself back on the pedestal and reclaiming that power. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Yesterday, I went to a class on how to clear your functioning and governing channels, how to clear your energy. And something that the practitioner Gina said was, you never lose anything. You only shed what's not yours. And I want to talk about the theme of loss first because I think that so often is what knocks us off our own pedestal and really disrupts our vibration. We will look at a person leaving our life and we'll assume, well, I'm losing them. We'll look at getting fired as I lost my job. We literally say those words. I lost this person. I lost this job. We might look at a missed quote unquote opportunity and we'll say, oh, I was too late. I missed that opportunity. We have the word lose as a really big part of our vocabulary. And our vocabulary is really important that we pay attention to because the words we speak create images in our head. And then those images creates a biochemical reaction in our body, which produces a feeling. When we're telling ourselves, I lost this, I lost that, we're creating an image of loss in our mind. And then we're creating a feeling in reaction to those words. And we're feeling lack. We're feeling like we are knocking ourselves out of our happiness and feeling deprived of something. But what if that meaning is just incorrect or not the full story, or we're mislabeling what's going on in our external reality? What if we dropped the belief that I'm losing this or I'm losing that and we instead realize, actually, I'm releasing this thing so I can allow something in that's better, that is in vibrational alignment with me, that does feel more resonant with my true being. There are going to be people, places, opportunities that come in and out of our life. And we cannot just attach ourselves to everything and then say, well, now I lost this thing. You can't lose what's yours. You never lose anything. You only shed what's never been yours in the first place. If people were a part of your past, let them rest in peace there. Having a history with someone is just not a good enough reason to have a future with them. As you're evolving, other people may not be evolving at your cadence or at all. In fact, some people are choosing to de-evolve. They're choosing lower vibrational behaviors. They're falling into addiction. They're not thinking or feeling consciously. They're letting the world tell them how to feel. They're letting the world tell them what to do. Some people are de-evolving, and if you're evolving in a different direction, it's physically impossible to stay in the same reality unless you lower your vibration. And when you choose to allow the familiar people or places to control you, you're choosing to block your blessings. You're choosing to also de-evolve, which is putting you more into your ego rather than your intuition. You're going more into the human part of you, the denser part of you, than your soul and your higher self. Sometimes we stay in relationships, and I'm definitely not referring to myself right now. Sometimes we stay in relationships because we choose to stay comfortable. But choosing to stay comfortable because something is familiar is simultaneously choosing to stay in the same vibration, therefore blocking other opportunities, or choosing to de-evolve when your soul is calling you to read the spiritual textbooks. It's calling you to maybe not binge drink every single weekend. It's calling you to do something different with your life. So I'm inviting you to create a new meaning. Instead of saying, I lost that person, what if you released it? What if losing people, places, opportunities actually is not possible? Something else Gina was talking about was how we are one with everything. And this is something called the law of one. And it states that, let's assume that the Big Bang Theory is in actuality real. And if we do, we are one with everything. I mean, this also goes in hand with the Bible. Adam was made from the earth. So whether you read the Bible or you believe the Big Bang, either way, both of these narratives say we are one with everything. We're one with the animals, the trees, the earth, all is one thing. Even though physically we look separate, energetically and spiritually, we're all connected. Therefore, again, it's physically impossible to actually lose something because you're always connected to everything. You may want to clear that cord. You might want to call your power back to you. And how do you do that? You just say, I lovingly and peacefully call all of my power back to me now, and see your white light energy going back into your body. I have a whole entire workbook on this. And if you want to get the meditation and more information, you can get my book, Show Up As Her, that goes in depth on this process. But you can always clear the cord. You can always call your power back. But to tell yourself that you're losing something when energetically that's not possible, and also you're releasing, and also it's not really part of you, you're just shedding what's not yours, well, you're lying to yourself. And when you lie to yourself, you're making yourself feel worse. You're putting yourself into a lower vibration, one that's of lack, one that's deprived, one that is grieving. And you're grieving over a lie. You are lying to yourself. What's the point of doing this? There really is no point. Now, maybe you're emotionally addicted to being in a lower vibration. Maybe you're emotionally addicted to feeling grief and sadness and hopelessness. If that's the case, you have to interrupt that and say, I'm going to choose to feel better today. I'm going to choose to consciously think different, to have different beliefs, to shift up my schedule. One of the easiest ways to shift up how you feel is to shift what you're doing during the day. You can just make a decision and say, I'm not going to claim this sadness anymore. I'm not going to choose to repeatedly think about my past. I'm going to choose to think new thoughts and have new beliefs. But a physical way to shake up your energy is to just change your schedule. Instead of waking up and going on your phone, go to yoga. Instead of working for 3 hours at night, maybe work those 3 hours in the afternoon. Maybe you have a different energy in the afternoon. It's actually going to help you do that work better. We have to see ourselves moving through life as graduating from one experience to the next, getting better, not as losing. Anytime I release something from my life, I don't think it's a moment to mourn anymore. And if you want to cry it out, scream it out, write it out, go off. I don't see this as a moment to mourn anymore. I truly see it as a graduation towards something better. Oh, this is reflecting back to me that my vibration is up leveling once again. I'm not going to go back to old Cece and start telling myself it's because I'm not good enough. It's this, blah, 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 blah. We lie to ourselves all the damn time. I can't even lie right now. We lie to ourselves all the time and we make the worst meanings. Our mind is truly wired to look for threats and look for, well, what's going to go wrong? Because when we were in tribes, we had to be hyper focused on what can go wrong because a lot of things were going wrong. There's a tiger there. There's a poisonous berry over there. We had to be on the lookout for what could go wrong in order to survive. But baby girl, we're living in a modern world now. You don't have to constantly be looking for threats. What if you looked for evidence that your life is actually just getting better? What if we looked for evidence that we're graduating to a higher vibration, more love, more light? And if you have to go and create that light within, go internally and create the light within. I've really been focusing on learning new information. I'm always committed to energetic excellence. You know me. But I've been signing up for more classes, going deeper into these topics for my own self and to, of course, share with you. And this has been my constant reminder that I'm continuously evolving and I'm learning more and I'm understanding more. How could I be going backwards? How could I be getting worse? No, I'm graduating better. So when someone does release from my life, when someone does move away from me, when something is not in alignment with me anymore, I can't even say to myself it's because I'm not good enough when I'm actively doing things that makes me stronger and wiser and better. If I'm going to yoga and I am working out my mind and I'm eating high vibrational foods, how could it be me going backwards? It must be them. And maybe that sounds a little bit funny, but that is my truth. And it is vibrationally true. And it's what I've been telling myself, and it really allows me to feel so much better. So instead of the external circumstance knocking me off my pedestal, making me feel terrible, I realize, well, obviously I'm moving up, so maybe they're just moving down. I also think it's really important that we measure these relationships and these experiences not by the duration of them, but the depth, the lesson we get from them. There's also that other saying of you don't lose, you either learn or you win. And I agree with this. There's nothing to lose if you ask yourself, well, what is this experience trying to teach me? What is this experience trying to show me? I have adopted the belief that everything is working in my favor. Maybe I don't understand just yet how this thing is working in my favor, but I don't need to understand all of the information from my current point of view to have the belief that somehow, some way, this is going to work out for me. There is this meme and it says the feminine urge to know why. And I do find myself in this sometimes where I'm like, well, why? And then I got to remind myself, Cece, you're not meant to know why. You're meant to have the experience. And that's just, it is what it is. No one ever promised us you're going to understand why everything is happening all of the time. That would really take away from the human experience, because then there would be nothing to learn if we already knew all of the answers. I think also having faith in a higher power, for me, this is God, has saved me so many times. Because when I'm freaking out about my 3D external reality and I'm saying it's going wrong, I'm losing this or that, then I have to remind myself, well, wait a damn minute. There's someone who is curating my reality with me because I'm in co-creation with God. There is something huge beyond my understanding that is unfolding events and opportunities and situations in my life. Why am I going to believe my limited perspective? And literally today, I looked up Isaiah, I believe it's 55:9. In the Bible, it says, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So this helps us understand that God has a broader perspective of things than we do. And there were so many instances in my own life and in the Bible, of course, where it looks like everything is going wrong, but actually it's the building blocks to create a structure that can hold the big dream. So we want to rest in the knowledge that God creates goodness. And even if we don't understand what's happening right now, it's still good. I always think of the Genesis story where God created the earth and he said, I created the earth, whatever, and it was good. And I created the animals and it was good. And I created, the sun and the moon and it was good. And literally last night I was thinking to myself, even though I don't understand my current situation all the way, it must be good. Because God doesn't create things that aren't good. And he doesn't allow things that don't allow us to grow for the greater good. So if everything is working out for me, which it is, this must be working out for me. I have a conscious conversation with myself every single day of my life. Because if I don't, my brain will just say horrifying things. Our brain does this to all of us. Because that's what our brain is meant to do. But you're not just a brain. You're not just your programs. You're not just your past. You also have access to infinite knowledge. So you have to consciously choose to say, you know what, fear brain, I'm going to take a step back here and I'm going to put my trust in the Lord, my God. I'm going to put my trust in Jesus, or I'm just going to put my trust in my angels, into a greater perspective that, maybe I can't see just yet. The mistake I've made in my past is I've put my faith in a boyfriend. I've put my faith in a circumstance, in a job opportunity. I put my faith into something in the 3D. That's misplaced faith. Because our 3D reality, what we experience in this world, first of all, it's delayed. Secondly, it's always changing and evolving to match our vibrational standpoint. Our frequency changes, and then our 3D reality will match up with it, but it is behind it. This is why we must choose to make the internal changes before we're going to see them in our external reality. We have to change the belief or the story or the narrative or our feelings about ourselves. And then the 3D reality will catch up. It's sort of like a remote and a television. You have to take the remote and turn on. You have to put it in channel 33. And then the TV will match what you're broadcasting from the remote. Our life works the same way in the energetic universe. You are the remote. You have to shift what channel you're putting into the universe, and then the universe will create a change to match your vibration. I want to read you this post from the High Priestess 11. Many of us are at a very special point in our soul's growth, but this is nothing new. We've experienced this space before and we will experience it again. We are at the point where we have grown so much that our surroundings don't match with what we want and who we are. Remember, 3D is delayed. You can think of it as a dark night of the soul, a death, and a rebirth. When we grow and evolve so quickly, what we do and how we do it will call for change because what aligned with us 3 months ago doesn't feel quite right anymore. So before you ask what's wrong with you and why you're feeling lost, understand that you're growing and changing at a very fast rate, and that means adjustment periods will come more often than they did before. We are at a point where it's time to break the metaphorical egg. The egg cannot be cracked from the outside. It must be cracked from within because our growth is so immense that the egg can no longer hold us. This point can feel uncomfortable or even scary. We aren't comfortable in a cramped egg of our old identity, but we aren't sure exactly what's outside of it. If you think back, you can easily recall a time where you felt just like this. You probably think of that time in your life with love because it was a moment that you became the real you. For me, this is when I went through that breakup and during 2020, and I found myself and God and my purpose. I look back on that time with such love because even though I felt so lonely a lot of the time, I was discovering all that I was not, and it allowed me to meet who I actually am. And I'm in that phase again because I'm letting go of a lot of things that are no longer resonant with me, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's a transition. And if you're listening to this, you're probably at that phase too. And I know it's uncomfortable, but uncomfortable waters breeds change. And if we want more, we have to let go of less. You left behind what wasn't working and walked on the path of growth no matter how scary it was. You're being asked to do this again. You're being asked to shed your old self. I mean, we literally said the word shed, and break the shell of the egg you've outgrown to create a new home within yourself. You did it once and you can do it again. Sink deeply in your feelings of discomfort, pain, and fear. Feel them all lovingly. Welcome those feelings and understand that this is just the pain of birthing a new self. I want you to understand that even when you're scared or in fear, you have to choose the path of evolvement anyway. Because when in doubt, we're going to do it anyway. You don't have to feel like everything is perfect and everything is great for you to choose to evolve. You have to make a conscious decision that even though everything doesn't feel great and everything doesn't feel aligned right now, I'm going to choose what's going to make my future self the most proud of me. I'm going to choose to do the hard work now so I can get what is truly going to fulfill me later. To be obsessed about what's happening in your 3D reality is becoming a slave to it. Because first of all, that 3D reality is not final. That circumstance is not final. But if you're telling yourself that it is, you're going to wreck yourself emotionally. Let's think about this in an example. Let's say that you are dating someone and you feel like you can't read them and you're not sure what they're feeling, you're not sure what they're thinking, but you really like them. So you start telling yourself, well, you know, they're not into me. Everyone I like always leaves. I'm going to be abandoned. This always happens to me. All men are trash. When you go back to those older stories, first of all, that's what will start to manifest. But secondly, you are becoming a slave to a 3D reality that has not finished unfolding. You have become a slave to one point in time without knowing the full story. And you're also assuming and lying to yourself in the worst way possible, which is the fear brain. Maybe that person is doing something, or I don't know, maybe the person has an actual life. Who knows? You will get your answer. You will have to lean on your intuition and all will be fine. But if you start allowing your 3D circumstance to dictate how you feel because you're making meaning from it, this is not going to be easy, because that is you becoming the surfer and riding every single wave, going up and down and up and down and up and down because of what you're perceiving. What you want to do is observe instead of absorb. You want to be the person lounging on the beach, watching the waves and just observing, okay, they're doing this, or that's unfolding there. That's fine. This is happening, that's happening. I can notice, I can have awareness, I can see without allowing that thing to dictate me. We have to raise our perspective here to a higher perspective. We have to remind ourselves, well, this might be happening now, but this is for now and not forever. You know what it really is? I kind of want us to create space between what's happening and our emotional response. Because if we don't have any space between the circumstance and our emotional response, we're just going to constantly be spewing, what is going on? I'm so concerned. I'm so worried. I'm so blah, 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 blah. It's not going to work out well for us. What if we created space? And maybe you're thinking, well, Cece, what do I do in that space? I'm going to tell you. You're going to refocus on you. Yeah. Baby girl, you're going to become your own muse. Because at the end of the day, you came into the world alone and you're going to leave the world alone. I want you to refocus on you. You need to remind yourself that as the world is changing around you, you can't lose you. There's going to be shiny things out there. There's going to be great connections out there. It doesn't matter. None of it matters if you lose yourself in it, because then it's not fun anymore. It's not joyous anymore. It's not enjoyable anymore. You have to become your own muse. And in doing that, you elevate your own vibration. You attract the best of the best. And ultimately, you feel better. You feel better about yourself. You raise your confidence. How can you become your own muse? What do you want to learn? What do you want to do in life? And maybe you have to take out a piece of paper because you're like, Cece, I never even asked myself what I want to do with my life. Okay, great. Let's start asking those questions. What do you want to do? Is it yoga? Is it dance? Is it writing? Is it singing? Sign up for a class. Go to a new cooking class. Do anything, but you have to start cultivating yourself. By the way, interesting people like interesting people. So if you want to attract interesting people, become an interesting person yourself. Becoming your own muse means you're taking time with learning who you are. And a lot of what learning who you are is also acknowledging all the parts of you that are not actually you, but you're still holding on to. So those limiting beliefs of I'm not good enough, I can't have this, whatever they may be, those limiting beliefs, even though you're thinking them, that's a learned behavior. It's not who you actually are. When you were born, when I was born, we were born confident, loving, happy, magnetic babies. Anything that deviates from self-love and confidence is a learned behavior that we picked up from parents or siblings or our peers. We have to go into this space where we're not rushing ourselves. An evolution process cannot be rushed. And we want to choose to evolve so we don't devolve to lower vibrational behaviors. In becoming our own muse, we're focused here. Where focus goes, energy flows. So if I'm focused on that person that I'm dating or that circumstance that's annoying me, whatever it may be, if I'm focused on things that are just stressing me out, I'm just feeding it my energy and I'm getting a terrible return on investment. You have to feed yourself your own energy. And the way to do that is to stay focused on your own vessel. Am I doing things that are making me healthy, hotter, and feeling wholer? Okay, that's a great start. I find it really ironic because I don't think we can lose anything out there. But you know who we can lose sometimes? Is ourself. Yeah. The only person it's imperative for you not to lose, which is someone you can lose, is yourself. Because the other people, if they leave your life, you're not losing, you're releasing, and you can't lose what's not yours, you're shedding it. But when we get sucked into what's going on around us, we want to be validated, seen, and connected to, we can lose ourselves. That's a problem. That's something we have to be aware of. Over time, if we continuously allow mistreatment from others, we just further betray ourselves time and time again, and then we end up hating ourselves for allowing that treatment. If you can not let someone go for you, let them go for your younger self. Sometimes it's easier to stand up for our younger self, our inner child, than it is to just stand up for ourselves. You didn't come here to be mistreated by Brad and Brittany. You know what I mean? That's only distracting you from your purpose. And I really think if the devil can't get you down, he'll get you down by sending negative people into your life that will just distract you. I mean, what is the devil but distraction? My mom used to always say that idle time is a devil's playground, and I really do believe this. If you're not consciously plugging in to what you want to grow into, the vision you have for your life, what you want to create, you're going to be easily manipulated, easily distracted, and then you're going to allow other people to choose circumstance for you, and this is truly how we lose ourselves. You have a commitment not only to your current self, but your inner child and your future self too. You also have a commitment to God. Like you and God, I truly believe this, have a plan for your mission and your purpose in your life. When I meet God, I want to be able to say to God, God, I tried my best. I really did. I gave my soul mission everything I could give it. I spent time in solitude. I learned the lessons. I shared what I learned with other people. I led with love. When I meet God, I want to say, I'm a wrung out towel. I used everything you gave me. Everything. And the funny thing is, the more of your gifts that you use, the more gifts that will be bestowed upon you. The more that you lean into your talents, the more talents you will open and evoke. Use this time to focus on yourself, regardless if you're in a relationship or not. Again, the one person it's possible to lose and who you cannot lose, because I don't want you to lose this person, is you. That's a person we tend to abandon most of the time for other people, and no one can fulfill us like we can fulfill ourselves, especially in union with God. I mean, that is the true fulfillment, connecting and praying and having awareness of God. Nothing, I tell you, will ever make you feel as good as being connected to God. And that's why I don't care if I sound preachy. I know what I'm talking about. And if someone had the cure to some illness, I would want them to tell me. If I know the cure to loneliness is connecting with God, I'm going to tell you. And that's what this is about. How can you become your own muse? You're not going to rush yourself. You're going to allow yourself to release the behaviors that are no longer serving you. And how do you do that? By a conscious conversation. Well, I'm not going to react to this external circumstance. I'm going to give myself some space. I'm going to let external circumstance to unfold because I don't have all of the dots connected just yet, which brings us to number 3. I'm going to have faith in God. I'm going to trust that there is a divine plan for me. And I'm not going to devolve. I'm going to consciously, continuously choose to evolve. I'm going to pick the vibrational behavior that's for my highest good. And by the way, how do you know a behavior or a thought form is for your highest good? It's healthy and it makes you feel good. Because there are some things that are going to make you feel good, but they're not healthy for you. So it's healthy and it makes you feel good. And also your future self won't hate you for choosing it. Maybe that is just the number one way to know. Your future self will not hate you for doing this. If you choose to do your meditation, if you choose to go to the energy class, if you choose to pray, your future self won't hate you for that. If you choose something or someone, I should say, that's not good for you, it might feel good in the moment because you're feeding your ego. But is your future self gonna want you to do that? That's a question I really want you to ask yourself. I am sending you so much love, positive bitches. Thank you for being here with me today and sharing this time. It's been amazing per usual. The sparkle in me honors the sparkle in you. I'm sending you all the love in the world, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah.